try to blame someone else. I think that's really important. With the high office of Prime Minister comes responsibility. And one of my concerns is that this Prime Minister never accepts responsibility, always seeks to blame someone else. And we can do much better than that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Opposition Leader Anthony Albanese, thanks so much for your time and for joining us here on 6 News.
Oh, thanks for having me on the program on 6 News, and I wish you all the best. And I commit to coming back on at semi-regular intervals. It I think is a fantastic initiative, and thanks for spending the time with me today.
When big news breaks.
It pains me to announce that I have no option but to resign from the office of Premier.
Reimpose Stage 3 stay-at-home restrictions effective from midnight tomorrow night.
6 News is there for you.
This was a scene of what some are describing as almost a riot, violent confrontations with police and protesters.
Bringing you up-to-the-minute coverage that's focused on the facts.
I just wrapped up a call with the Trump campaign.
The waters have begun receding in southeast Queensland now. The cleanup begins.
No matter the time.
Welcome to this 6 News major breaking news we have for you.
No matter the place.
Yeah, sorry, I'm at the supermarket right now.
You'll always see it first right here on 6 News.
Hello, you're watching 6 News on the Hour. I'm Leonardo, Puglisi. The top stories we're following right now. 2 police officers reportedly shot dead execution style. A member of the public also killed at close range. And 3 suspected gunmen now dead after a shooting at a property in regional Queensland. The Prime Minister calling it a heartbreaking day for the family and friends of the fallen officers and saying Australia mourns with you, with a crime scene now established.
Tragically, this is the largest loss of life we have suffered in one single incident in recent times. It is devastating news, and I know that it will deeply be felt across Queensland.
St. Michael, the Archangel, pray for us, pray for all police.
Good morning. 3 suspected gunmen have been shot dead following the deaths of 2 police officers and a member of the public. You're continuing to watch rolling coverage of the Queensland shooting right here on 6 News. Let's recap the latest developments for you. We had a media release out just before 3 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time from Queensland Police. They said that 4 officers were in attendance at around 4:30 p.m. local time yesterday on a property on Waynes Road at wieambilla. In relation to a missing person investigation, initial information indicates the officers were shot by 2 armed offenders as they approached the residence on the property. A member of the public was also shot and pronounced dead at the scene, with the other 2 officers taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. An emergency declaration declared for Chinchilla Tara Road, Wieambilla Road, Bennett School Road and Mary Street. After that, a siege situation began at the property with specialist police officers and Polair then responding. 2 males and a female then fatally shot. They are the suspected gunmen during a confrontation with police. That was shortly after 10:30 p.m. local time. So that was a Queensland Police statement released during the early hours of the morning. Here's more of what the police told media late last night.
Those officers paid the ultimate sacrifice to keep our community safe. I would like to also pay tribute to all police and first responders who assisted at the scene and are continuing to respond this evening. Tragically, This is the largest loss of life we have suffered in one single incident in recent times. It is devastating news, and I know that it will deeply be felt across Queensland. It is, sadly, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of policing and the incredible dangers our officers face while protecting our community. I know the days and weeks ahead will be particularly difficult for families and the police family. We are an organisation in mourning tonight, and at the appropriate time we will honour the sacrifice these officers have made for us.
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in our battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all of the evil spirits who wander through the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Saint Michael the Archangel, pray for us, pray for all police.
So that's some of what Queensland Police Media said late last night. A lot of developments coming through overnight. Our national reporter Austin Pollock, who is in Queensland, has been covering this all for us. Austin, good morning to you. What do we know right now? What's the kind of situation that we have confirmed based on what we've only recently just gotten into the newsroom the past few hours and really minutes?
Yeah, Leo, good morning. What a night. A lot of developments to go through, and I'll take you through some of them now. So we know tragically 2 police officers, 1 male and 1 female, have died, and also a local resident. 3 suspected shooters, that's 2 males and 1 female, have also died when they were confronted by police. Now, Alan Dare has been identified this morning, coming from the Courier Mail, as the neighbour or local resident who was shot by these armed gunmen. Now, it is also believed that the suspects took the weapons of the deceased police officers after barraging them with this when they were confronted at that property. Now, at around 10:30 last night, which is about an hour after that media conference with Minister Mark Ryan and Commissioner Katarina Carroll, that's 10:30 last night in Australian Eastern Standard Time, the 3 people, what we believe to be the shooters, were fatally shot when police confronted them. Now, according to News Corp this morning, it was originally just 2 shooters when tragically the 2 police died, and then we believe a 3rd may have joined them later before all being shot at by police. This town now only has circa 100 people, so communications, as you can imagine, very, very limited, and details very, very scarce. Now, astonishingly, there are some very shaky reports that the gunman may have also started a bushfire to try and find one of the officers that escaped when they were first shot at. So a bushfire allegedly started just for the gunmen to find a police officer that escaped. That is very, very
it's from what we understand, and we were covering this last night as well, it was either a bushfire or a car fire, something like that, but regardless, a fire seems to be the general consensus there. Obviously a lot of shaky details about the exact timeline, but all in all, it's extraordinary. Now, we were saying during our evening and overnight coverage that we were going to have a press conference from Annastacia palaszczuk. Do we have any idea what time that might be this morning?
I haven't seen anything confirmed, but it would probably be fairly early. Nothing from the Premier's office yet, I don't believe, but the Premier did release a statement last night, I believe, on Twitter, but nothing confirmed at this stage. But it's highly likely.
It's kind of expected here. Exactly, it's kind of expected, and you're seeing on screen now some of the footage of that police press conference we had very briefly last night. Which we stressed was very brief, but obviously a lot has come through since then. So it's interesting because obviously the initial thing was about suspects and the whole missing person investigation, and then when New South Wales Police came into that, and it's all very speculatory reportedly at this stage here. We're going to try to avoid all that for you, but all in all, it's extraordinary. And the other thing was, Austin, as we were covering live late last night was that the property had basically been unattended until a week ago. And of course, for a local resident, you know, that's something you would notice. Alan Deere, I believe you said his name was, the one who was killed?
Correct, the neighbour the local resident, yeah.
Yeah, and so you know, if you notice a suddenly abandoned house in a very, you know, big but yet not populated area suddenly be populated, and then you're hearing shotguns or gunshots or fire or something like that, or seeing that, you know, you'd go over to investigate, and that's kind of what we've heard there, that it was a police came first, and then something to do with the resident as well. It's all been a very shaky kind of timeline for you. Have we gotten any more reaction in regarding this? Obviously, Annastacia Palaszczuk's addressed it, the Prime Minister's addressed it, and of course Peter Dutton's addressed it. He, of course, is himself a former Queensland cop.
Yeah, correct. And we heard those last night. I'll just take you through what Annastacia Palaszczuk said. So she said tonight, so this was released a few hours ago, tonight we have learned of a horrible tragedy. Three people are dead, including 2 police officers killed in the line of duty. I extend my deepest respects to their family and to the Queensland Police Service as a whole. Our police risk their lives every day to keep us safe. I know Queensland joins with me in expressing our shock and sadness, and a very similar message being repeated by leaders, including Anthony Albanese and, as you mentioned, Peter Dutton, and a lot of MPs and leaders coming out this morning, including many others, basically reiterating the message how tragic these circumstances are this morning.
We're just seeing reports in now that the officers who were killed have been identified. They're Constable Rachel McCrow, aged 29, and Constable Matthew Arnold, she was 26, 29, Matthew Arnold. They're both from Tara. It is believed that 2 of the people of those 3 shot dead, the 2 males, were Nathaniel Train and his brother Gareth Train. That has just come in. So, yeah, it's just continuing to develop there. So some young officers there, but then potentially brothers involved as those 2 of the 3 who were shot dead overnight. I know you're only probably getting this at the same time I am, Austin, but that in itself is just another huge development.
It is, yeah, 100%, now that these officers have actually been identified. I think we will start to get a lot of the suspects involved, this missing person involved. We will all be coming out identified today, possibly even at this media conference this morning.
Yeah, and we would, as I said, expect that media conference to happen. Well, I mean, look, we can't give you an exact time at this moment yet, but, you know, soon is what we can fairly accurately say here. Apart from that, Austin, and we'll keep coming. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've also just heard in the last few moments from Michael McCormack, the Nationals leader, or former Nationals leader now, but police run to crisis when others run away. They do what they are asked to do by the community, and we should always be mindful of that and thankful for that. The police shootings in Queensland are shocking, gutted for their loved ones and family, and Jim Chalmers, who's also in Queensland, thinking of the police and affected families and loved ones this morning. Awful events on the Western Down yesterday and overnight.
Austin, we're going to keep coming back to you throughout the morning, but look, some extraordinary developments there, and as we say, we are awaiting the Annastacia Palaszczuk press conference sometime this morning. National reporter Austin Pollock, who is in Queensland for us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Leo.
Austin Pollock there, 6 News national reporter, who is, of course, in Queensland, as many of our team. And look, we'll keep coming through. We'll keep going to them throughout the morning. But it just just repeating what we have heard there with those 2 slain officers identified. They are 26-year-old Rachel McCrow and 29-year-old Matthew Arnold, both constables in the Queensland Police Force. They have been named as the officers killed. 2 of the suspects killed are believed to be brothers Nathaniel Train and Gareth Train. that is coming in through multiple reports here. Let's just have a listen to some of what, and you've been seeing the Olay on screen for you now, but let's just have a listen to some of what was said last night by police media in that press conference that we had very shortly at around 10:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 9:30 local. There we go. That was some of what police media said at that press conference last night. Keep your tips, keep your questions coming in. We're going to do our best to unpack this this developing, ongoing situation right now regarding just what has happened here. 6 people dead, 2 of them officers, 1 of them a local resident, the 3 believed to be suspected shooters. All but 1 have been identified. The 1 female suspected shooter has not yet been identified. But that's kind of what we know. And on that front, I guess you'd say. And so we're going to keep following that for you. Again, Rachel McCrow, Matthew Arnold, the constables identified as those killed. I'm being told in my ear that some of what we had from last night's press conference, there was a bit of a stuff up with the audio, so we're going to take 2 on that. This is some of what police said at that press conference last night.
Those officers paid the ultimate sacrifice to keep our community safe. I would like to also pay tribute to all police and first responders who assisted at the scene and are continuing to respond this evening. Tragically, this is the largest loss of life we have suffered in one single incident in recent times. It is devastating news, and I know that it will deeply be felt across Queensland. It is, sadly, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of policing and the incredible dangers our officers face while protecting our community. I know the days and weeks ahead will be particularly difficult for families and the police family. We are an organisation in mourning tonight, and at the appropriate time we will honour the sacrifice these officers have made for us.
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in our battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all of the evil spirits through the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Saint Michael the Archangel, pray for us, pray for all police.
So there we go. That was some of what police media said at that press conference late last night. But of course, we are expecting Annastacia palaszczuk to speak sometime soon. We don't, unfortunately, have an exact time for you yet that we can actually fully confirm. We'd expect it to be very soon, though. It's probably not going to be much longer. There were, initially going to have the police minister address it. That's what we heard, and then that didn't happen last night. Though we had, of course, the police commissioner, and look, since then, a lot's been said about what's happened here. Certainly, a lot of things we can confirm right now. A lot of things we cannot confirm, but we're going to try to bring you the facts as accurately as possible here for you. So stay with us, because lots of important developments to get through, lots of things to wrap up here. So we're just going to continue feeding those breaking news stories into the newsroom for you. But again, we have those officers who were killed named: constables, 26-year-old Rachel McCrow, 29-year-old Matthew Arnold. So they are the two officers who have been killed. Flags flying at half-mast at all Queensland police stations right now, and one would not be surprised if there's a state funeral for them. But again, if you see any developments, keep them coming through. Just keep them, keep feeding through to us, I should say. And look, I think. If you keep, sticking with us, we'll make sure we bring that press conference to you live when it happens. But we're learning a lot about what happened last night, and it was really, really late last night. But it seemed to be a firefight of some sort, and then add on top of that, it led to the deaths of 3 people, all believed to be suspects, being Nathaniel Train, Gareth Train, and an unknown female, is what we have heard, as yet unconfirmed, but that's basically what we've been able to actually get from various in the media. All offenders are dead, according to the police union president in Queensland, Ian Levers. That was confirmed. So there are no offenders out there, no one who can be taken into custody, of course. So yeah, and look, if you were watching our coverage late last night, as we followed this for you, you'll remember we were talking about New South Wales missing person investigation. Well, look, the Courier Mail now reporting on this, saying that Nathaniel Train was the subject of that New South Wales missing person notice by New South Wales Police. The Courier Mail saying he taught at Yorkie Knob State School as a principal, I've seen from some. He was last seen in Dubbo, New South Wales on December 16 last year, was still in contact with family members until October 9 of this year. The missing report was lodged with by Dubbo Police. The request came from Dubbo Police as well. The Courier Mail saying sources have revealed there were warnings. One of Nathaniel's relatives had a strong dislike of police. Yeah, it's harrowing details here. And again, the report is that they were shot execution style. The Courier Mail saying that after the officers were shot, it is understood, quote, the gunmen fired further shots into their bodies, and their Glocks, their pistols were taken. So extraordinary report from the Courier Mail there. But execution style is the term being used for the situation that's unfolded here for you tonight. So, as I said, Annastacia palaszczuk, we really would expect her to speak shortly. We don't have a time frame on that yet, but you'd imagine it would be sometime very soon. So just keep sticking with us here for you. addition to that, you know, you would imagine the Queensland Police Commissioner would again be out there speaking, and also the Queensland Police Minister, Mark Ryan. Now, we already had statements from Anthony Albanese. Peter Dutton, of course, the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, is a former Queensland police officer. So, you know, he would have a, you know, a lot of background on this area. What he said late last night was that it was deeply distressing news about those police officers who have been murdered. Police officers face danger every day to keep us from it. That was Peter Dutton on Twitter late last night. And then also from the Prime Minister, terrible scenes and a heartbreaking day for the families and friends of the officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. My condolences to all who are grieving tonight. Australia mourns with you. So that was the Prime Minister late last night. Just going back to that police statement we had released early this morning. I'll just repeat it for you right now. They said that 4 officers were in attendance at around 4:30 p.m. local time yesterday at a property on Waynes Road in wieambilla in relation to a missing person investigation, as we've just mentioned for you. Initial information indicates the officers were shot by 2 armed offenders as they approached the residence on the property. A member of the public was also shot and pronounced dead at the scene, with the 2 other officers taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. An emergency declaration was declared for Chinchillatara Road, Wieambilla Road, Bennett School Road and Mary Street. After that, a siege situation began at the property. The specialist police officers and Polly, they're responding. 2 males, believed to be brothers Nathaniel and Gareth Train, and a female were then fatally shot during a confrontation with police shortly after 10:30 p.m. local time. That's 11:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, so just before midnight on the East Coast. So that was their statement last night, kind of bringing you what we know, and that's pretty much the first we've got from official sources. We haven't been able to get much more than that, given the early stages of what is going on here. You're continuing to see that that brief bit of footage we're actually able to bring you from the scene yesterday. But we're expecting, you know, more to come out. Look, let's just again have a quick listen to what police said last night, because that kind of wraps up what they're saying about this and their overall thoughts. And we're going to try to bring you more coverage and bring in some of our team. Stay with us. You're watching 6 News.
Those officers paid the ultimate sacrifice to keep our community safe. I would like to also pay tribute to all police and first responders who assisted at the scene and are continuing to respond this evening. Tragically, this is the largest loss of life we have suffered in one single incident in recent times. It is devastating news, and I know that it will deeply be felt across Queensland. It is, sadly, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of policing and the incredible dangers our officers face while protecting our community. I know the days and weeks ahead will be particularly difficult for families and the police family. We are an organisation in mourning tonight, and at the appropriate time we will honour the sacrifice these officers have made for us.
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in our battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do
that is what some of our police media said late last night. Look, we're hoping in just a moment to bring in for you some of the rest of our team right now. Our law and government editor, host between Parks Place and Capitol Hill, Stuart Jeffrey, Austin Pollock, our national reporter, who will be joining us again, and hopefully also Roman McKinnon, our political editor, who is also on the ground right now in Brisbane. Stuart, I will start with you. Good morning to you. Lots happening overnight. Some pretty extraordinary developments, and it goes back to what we were saying about this missing person investigation. We're hearing that it was some kind of Dubbo police report, and it was Nathaniel Train, and he's now dead, as is his brother Gareth Train. We don't know who the female is.
Yes, we can now confirm that there were 3 shooters, all of whom are now dead. And that definitely is going to lead to there were some claims that there was potentially gang involvement, because it's more than just 2 people.
It's quite extraordinary, and look, it's really just look, actually, it surprised me, and Stuart, I don't know about you, but it surprised me we actually haven't heard Annastacia palaszczuk speak yet, apart from that brief statement last night. I mean, I would have thought there'd be a press conference by now. It's what, 8:30-ish your time. Surely you'd be speaking by now. Not that you're trying to rush her. I'm sure she's getting briefed, but I don't know. It just surprised me a little bit.
Well, I guess some of the timing pressure is gone, given that the shooters are now no longer active. So I reckon there's probably some relief there by the government, and they now have the time, because they're not having to worry about any security issues. But yeah, we should have. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything yet, but hopefully it's not too long.
Yeah, we would expect that soonish rather than later-ish. We do have Austin Pollock back with us. Austin, we've only just had the constables identified. You'd imagine tributes would be coming in a few minutes, or we're going to see more tributes, I should say, instead, that are going to continue to come in now that we actually know the names of these people. But we know the names of everyone, bar the one female who was shot dead as part of those alleged gunmen.
Yeah, that's correct. And I'm just looking online and on social media, including Twitter, that's coming in from everyone, from journalists, politicians, from leaderships. It's quite amazing just see how much outpouring of grief and support for the families of these affected police officers who went to work thinking they'll come home, but tragically they have not. And this is what happens. This is what police face every day, in fact. And it's one tragedy that will be remembered for a very long time. And yeah, support for them is coming in thick and fast.
And of course, might I add, we have had flags flown at half-mast right across all police stations over in Queensland right now, and we've had tributes coming in from police agencies and groups right across the entire country here, because it's not every day we are reporting on something like this. It's an extraordinary circumstance here, and look, it's I'll come back to the word. It is extraordinary. You don't have this happening every day in Australia, and it's the fact that people saying it's an ambush. I mean, just using terms like that, it's quite shocking here. Look, we're gonna bring in Roman McKinnon, our political editor, in a second. We're just bearing with you because obviously, got to work through the technical side of things. More on my end, not his end. Roman is flying for us. If you were seeing him behind the scenes, you'd know that. But Stuart, on another note, on a more serious note here. This is, going to be I imagine, even though we have, of course, all the offenders dead, this is going to be a really long process to find out the exact details of this, and they're still sketchy right now, even after that police statement that was released late last night.
Yeah, it's probably one of the worst mass shootings in recent Australian history, at least since Port Arthur. So I expect there'll be a massive investigation into this, especially given the fact that you're dealing with 2 different states here, New South Wales and Queensland. Because remember, the missing person report was filed by the New South Wales police.
And Dubbo, we've heard.
So the fact that you're involving 2 states definitely means there's going to be a long, drawn-out process here, probably, and it could take many months to get to the bottom of the question.
Yeah, pretty just extraordinary circumstances on that regard. Look, this could go interestingly either way, but look, we're going to try to bring in Roman McKinnon for us. He is, of course, our political editor who's on the ground right now in Brisbane. Hoping he's all good to hear me. But Roman, actually, I don't think he is yet. No, okay, we're gonna Austin. We'll stick with you and Stuart for the meantime. Guys, this is obviously going to leave a pretty lasting impact on the Queensland police force. So are we going to? What do you think we're gonna see the reaction? Sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm tired. You can probably tell. Stuart, I'll start with you here. What do you think is going to be the long-lasting impact of this? Just from what we've heard right now, I mean, is it going to be more police safety? I mean, out of the 4 officers that attended, half are dead, and the rest are being treated. So it's just extraordinary.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the death of Brett Ford a few years back, and then that was massive outpouring there. The entire state, the police force was affected. I had a mate who was the son of Brett Ford's former boss, and I know from him that it was just a horrible moment for everyone in the Queensland police force. So given that, I think definitely you're 100% right here.
Yeah, a shocking thing. Austin, what about you? I think this is going to be something that'll continue to see a long-lasting impact, and it is certainly going to be one that is not going to be forgotten about anytime soon. Especially, might I add, if we want to chuck in the family element here, it's so close to Christmas.
It will be, Leo, and I'll just say that female police officer, Mr. Ian Levers, the Queensland Police Union president, has actually said this morning that she was in the force for just over a month, or just over around 2 months, for 8 weeks. 8 weeks ago, she was sworn in. So a very deep tragedy, and it will have a profound effect, of course, on her family. Just almost starting at the police force just a matter of weeks ago. So, and whether or not they had any intel, I highly doubt it if they went in like this, that they could be armed and dangerous.
No one would go in with a pistol and a couple of local officers if they knew there was, potentially 3 people there with weapons. It's but why would you think that? It's just a missing person report.
Exactly, yeah, and maybe something will have to change with that, doing more checks before or change what police are sent. If something like this could occur again.
Yeah, it seems to be something that we're going to continue to see reaction with. Okay, let's try, and I don't know how well this is going to go, but let's try to bring in Roman McKinnon. Roman, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right? Fantastic. Roman McKinnon, our political editor, who's on the ground right now in Brisbane for us. Roman, good morning to you. And look, we've been hearing everyone else on this call fine, so at the very least we'll be able to hear you. What's kind of the situation here? Are we expecting Annastacia Palaszczuk anytime soon?
Yeah, good morning, Leo. We're expecting Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk to speak this morning from the Chinchilla police station. I'm down here in Roma Street in the heart of Brisbane at the Queensland Police HQ. You can see just behind me on my shoulder that the flags are at half-mast. Just before I saw a couple of photos that there were flowers laid here. Currently, there is none behind me, but of course, as you know, throughout the day, it's still quite early in the morning. On a Tuesday morning, I'm expecting some more flowers and tributes to be laid here.
Yeah, just coming on 8:30 a.m. local time for you right now. So I just want to confirm what you've said there. There's been no changes to that plan to actually have the Premier up in Chinchilla, which is, of course, about 45 minutes away from where this has happened. No changes there.
Yeah, so currently, pretty much nothing has changed as of yet, with the Queensland Premier still being in Chinchilla. Obviously, the gunmen have been shot dead, so it shouldn't be a bigger threat, whereas I don't think that press conference was likely if that press conference would be kind of, if the gunman was still an active shooter, and things like that. So yeah, as I know at the moment, the Queensland Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk is still expected to speak in Chinchilla, which is around 4 hours from Brisbane. So overnight she's probably made the trip, and all the other media out there.
Yeah, and look, the other thing, of course, is, there was that big emergency declaration zone set up. I don't know 100% if it's still in place or not, but do we know if police are still trying to just get people to avoid the area, because it has now turned into an official crime scene?
I'm not sure about the PSPA being revoked. I haven't got an email about that from my police saying that it has been revoked. So I think it's still an active crime scene, especially last night around nearly 11:30 in Queensland that we heard more gunfire from the scene. So it's really quite incredible. But now that the gunmen have been shot dead, I think it shouldn't be an active crime scene still, although there will still be a huge police presence around the area.
Yeah, of course. Going to be a huge police presence around the area for us. Roman, of course, we're going to stay with you simply because it's good to not watch the same loop of footage for a while. We're actually seeing what's going on behind you at the police station there. And so, yeah, we will, of course, bring Annastacia Palaszczuk's press conference to you when it happens. But look, certainly, I mean, you would expect a large number of developments to come through very soon, and I would assume that someone at this press conference, when it happens, would have to bring us more, because again, the last time we had an update was that media release just before about 2 a.m. your time. So are there any kind of unknowns we're not sure about yet? I mean, we don't have the identification of the female who was shot dead. We don't have the full details on the people who were shot dead. In fact, the names have just been released by media. I don't believe police have actually released them yet.
Yeah, so there's still quite a lot of unknowns. I was saying this last night, still a lot of unknowns in this case. The gunmen also haven't been identified. I'm not sure if they will be identified, but of course those two cops were identified by the media pretty much in the past hour or so. Those two police officers. So yeah, I'm not sure about press conference. I know about the press conference with the Queensland Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk, but I'm not sure if there will be a press conference here at Roma Street at the QPS HQ regarding any more updates or anything, not regarding the Premier, which I don't expect there will be. Obviously the main one will be with Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on all that right now for you, and look, to put it simply, there's still we just have not been able to get developments on at this stage. There's still a lot we haven't been able to fully get details on, but there's certainly a lot of reaction coming in, and look, we covered it when it happened last night, and we saw those comments from the Prime Minister and Opposition Leader, and of course the main thing there, of course, was one of the main things was, of course, Peter Dutton. He is a former Queensland cop, and so I think he only had a brief statement out last night, but you'd imagine and of course he's your local member, by the way, so I'm sure you know him well enough. I'm sure he'd have a lot more to say about this once we get some more details, and I think a lot of people are probably going to be waiting for this Annastacia Palaszczuk press conference before they actually come out and say something.
Yeah, so I'm unsure of the timing of that. I believe it's around 9:30. I haven't got confirmation from my contacts just yet, but I believe it's around 9:30 local time, so 10:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Yeah, so that's in about just under an hour. We'll stay with everyone for it. It's important to stay with us here. Roman, anything else you can bring us right now, just while we've got you here? Because look, we're going to cross back to you later. But anything else that you've got for us right now, given how much is just coming through as we talk? I mean, we went on air and suddenly we know the names of the the people shot dead and the people who were the suspects.
I believe So I don't know if we will see those gunmen identified. I just touched on this earlier, but I'm not sure if we will see those gunmen identified, or the neighbour that was also shot after, going over there and finding what's out. But it's obviously still a very tragic situation, and I know a lot of people around here are feeling that kind of somber day around here as Queensland police mourn their own too.
Yeah, extraordinary day, extraordinary developments, more developments continuing to come in, and look, we're going to keep following that for you at home. For now, though, Roman McKinnon, our political editor, on the ground at the police station in Brisbane. Thank you very much. We'll keep coming back to you throughout the morning.
Thanks, Leo.
Roman McKinnon there. Look, anyone else? We got other people on this coverage for us. Stuart Jeffrey and Austin Pollock are both still with us. Stuart, of course, just going back on what we just said at the end there regarding Peter Dutton, and we've been covering this before, but you think he, and maybe actually a lot of other people, are just going to be waiting for this press conference this morning before they make any big, bold announcement, especially when it comes to the officers' lives being lost and all of that?
Yeah, 100%. I think definitely we're going to wait. Everyone's waiting for Palaszczuk right now. I imagine the same for the Prime Minister, waiting for Palaszczuk to give her speech. The press conference in about 45 minutes, and then I reckon you'll see more statements coming from the Prime Minister's office and also from the office of Peter Dutton as well.
Yeah, that's no issue. There, we'll bring that to you live when it happens right now. Austin, I just kind of, because you were covering this for us behind the scenes a lot during our evening and late coverage yesterday. Can you just, for those at home who might be unsure, who might be trying to make sure the service they're getting the news from on this is trustworthy, can you kind of go through where we're actually getting these sources from, apart from, of course, the obvious police? And we cite these sources, but obviously it's, important for people where we're getting these sources from. So where have you been getting this information from? Because certainly I've been getting it from mainly just Brisbane-based news outlets.
So yeah, we're going through, I've been,
No, go ahead.
Sorry, there was cutting out the audio. So what I was going to say, I've been, as you said, checking all these sources out last night. So I've been checking mainly major media sources that have got the people on the ground there. Of course, we don't have people out at Chinchilla, obviously, but sources. Not just the average person off Twitter, of course, but we have seen sources from the likes of the ABC, The Guardian, 9/7, and Network 10, and also multiple journals that are on the ground and are verified that we are hearing from. And we are double checking, of course, those sources can be accurate to bring that to you. But of course, as we have been doing, it is a lot of this has been all just pure speculation because of communications are so bad out there also.
Yeah, of course, but a lot of the speculation seems to be coming true, or at least going back to what we've heard, the vague details, especially regarding the New South Wales missing person investigation, the car and or bushfire, all of that, it seems to slowly start to be confirmed. Then we've lost Austin Pollock there for us. Stuart, your take on, because obviously as we've...
Sorry, Leo, you're breaking up. Could you just repeat that question again for me? I couldn't really get it because your
all good.
audio is breaking up.
I was just going to say, hang on, you got me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, great. I was just going to say, it's really critical that even though, there might be a bit of speculation here, some of it is definitely coming true in some regard, especially these details about like a New South Wales missing person investigation or something to that effect.
Yeah, I remember last night I said that this will go late into today potentially, and of course now it was resolved 11:30 ADT last night, 10:30 local time, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Around. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all kind of shaky, isn't it? And by the way, of course, we're going to try not to confuse ourselves, both of us, because of course, we're on different time zones. This is, Queensland is an hour behind everyone else, so I'm trying to make sure I'm like Eastern what time? Is it Eastern Standard, Eastern Daylight? I've got to be careful on that sense.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, you know, getting that speedy resolution there last night, I think, is important. But yeah, a lot of misinformation as well. It's like as I said last night in our coverage, then that there was talk that potentially, you know, the around that neighbour as well, and who they were, and I believe it's now been confirmed that the neighbour came after the police potentially turned up. So lots of mixed reports about that, and I think it's really important that we make sure we get all the details about that first.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the other thing here, because and I'm not sure if you saw it, Stuart. But there was that brief speculation about, okay, is the third person shot dead a suspect? And we've heard, well, yes and no. 3 suspects have been shot dead, but that third initial person was a resident, just some, you know, neighbour who was checking on this situation, as you would in this remote area.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're spot on there, Leo.
Yeah, some pretty extraordinary circumstances there. Austin, have we got you back now?
Yeah, I've got you back, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, let's just go on what we were discussing regarding misinformation on that sense. You know, it's certainly kind of hard to get this information through. And Queensland Police, you know, they've I think their most recent media release was you know, early in the hours of this morning. By the way, they're working very hard behind the scenes in terms of their media. I mean, some of our reporters have been signing up today, and they've got their media people actually working on that. And it's under extreme circumstances here. I mean, every media out in the country, maybe even around the world, I mean, News Hub, New Zealand, BBC, we're all covering this, would be trying to get information out of this. And, you know, they're essentially saying, as is fair, that they may not even know everything, but they're saying, you know, this is all we can say. Check back on this media release. We might have a press conference later.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I'll just note also, the Commissioner is speaking right now. I don't know if we can cut to that or not, but...
we can try. Yeah, bear with us. Thank you for the heads up. Yeah, give us a second, but keep talking us. Keep feeding us through.
Yeah, well, I don't have the thing on at the moment, but as you were saying, you know, it is... sorry, yeah, as you were saying, it is a lot of speculation, but this morning a lot of things are coming to light. Like Alan Dare has been identified not by the police, but by multiple credible media sources. So some which I mentioned earlier, including News Corp, as the neighbour who was shot by these armed gunmen. So a lot more information coming through, but not a lot from police directly, but a lot from credible journos on the ground.
And, of course, the other thing we should say here, Austin, as you've been doing too, but in terms of the identification, no, even though it's only been identified by media, no identification has been reported here on 6 News based off a single social media report. It has always been based off multiple media, and that is critical because with an identification with the death of someone, you have to be extremely careful here.
Yeah, correct. Yes, and that's exactly what we've been doing. We've seen from multiple different media sources reporting the same thing, and that's when we then bring the information to you once we know it's a highly reliable source, obviously.
Yeah, we're doing our best to say the very least. We'll keep trying for you all at home because it's obviously critical. We're gonna work. I was just gonna say we're gonna work to try to bring that that Queensland Police conference to you if the technical side of things wants to work with us. But if not, I'm sure you'll bring us a nice wrap up after it, eh? Or not. So yeah, let's try to then. All good, no biggie there. So yeah, that's kind of the situation there. And as we heard, there may or may not be a presser from the Queensland Premier in half an hour or so's time. So we'll actually keep you posted regarding that because that's something we're not too fully sure of at this stage. Well, look, why not? Let's just take a listen to actually some of what was said last night, not tonight, but last night, from police media who kind of gave their thoughts about this. Let's just have a listen to some of what was said there, because obviously, you know, a few key things that were said there. So let's just have a listen to some of what was said. I'll try to bring you what have been said in the last few minutes.
those officers paid the ultimate sacrifice to keep our community safe. This is the largest loss of life we have suffered in one single incident in recent times. It is devastating news, and I know that it will deeply be felt across Queensland. It is, sadly, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of policing.
Shortly, many members of the community have wanted to know if they can donate to assist their families. We've established that in every centre.
We're just trying to work to you to bring up what is being said by police now. If you can just bear with us on that sense, we're doing our best to bring that to you right now. But again, in terms of if you're looking for from what the Queensland Premier is saying, that can be expected very shortly. So actually, let's do our best. Let's try to listen into some of what police media are saying.
The matter was unable to be resolved peacefully, and all three offenders were fatally shot by specialist officers. These officers. An ethical standards investigation is underway into the police response with oversight from
St. Michael the Archangel, defend us
in total, 6 people have lost their lives.
Against the wickedness.
I travelled to the scene this morning and have been further briefed on the incident.
Rebuke him.
It is an unimaginable tragedy.
And do thou,
this has been incredibly distressing and tragic for everyone,
the power of God,
particularly family, officers involved, colleagues,
Satan,
the organisation and the community. As you would appreciate, it is an extremely emotional and challenging time for the Queensland Police Service.
Amen.
Losing one of our own has a profound impact on every single officer and their families. To lose 2 officers in one incident is absolutely devastating. This event is the largest loss of life, police life, we have suffered in a single incident in many years. I can confirm the 2 officers who tragically lost their life overnight were Constable Matthew Arnold, 26 years old, Constable Rachel McCrow, 29 years old, and they were both from Tara Police Station. My heartfelt sympathies and condolences go out to their loved ones, friends and colleagues. The thoughts of the entire police family are with them at this extremely difficult time. I would also like to extend my condolences to the family of the 58-year-old man from a neighbouring property who was also killed during this incident. And I want to pay tribute to the 2 other officers who attended the job, Constable Keely Bruff and Constable Randall Kirk. They bravely did what they could to save their colleagues in the most horrendous circumstances. Their bravery was beyond belief. Thank you also to the specialist police and other first responders who were involved in the dangerous confrontation for many hours last night. Matthew and Rachel were highly respected and much loved members of the Queensland Police Service. They were both committed and courageous young people who had a passion for policing and for serving their community. Both under 30 years of age. Both had wonderful careers and lives ahead of them. Yesterday, as they did every day, they put their lives on the line to serve their community. In this awful incident, they made the ultimate sacrifice. Sadly, both Matthew and Rachel had only recently commenced their policing careers. Matthew was sworn in as a police officer in March 2020, while Rachel was sworn in last year in June 2021. Both officers started their careers in the Dalby Division before transferring to Tara Police Station. We have dedicated family liaison officers in place supporting their families. I will be visiting their families in the very near future. Tara is a small station within a very tight-knit community. We have support mechanisms in place to assist those and their close colleagues who are involved in this incident. Unfortunately, this incident is a tragic reminder of the unpredictable nature of policing. Every day, our officers face very real dangers while protecting their communities. I know the days and weeks ahead will be extremely difficult for us as a police family. To all our officers and their loved ones, please look out for each other. I would also like to thank the local community here, as well as everyone across Queensland and Australia for their support. The texts, the messages, the phone calls, the emails have been endless. A sincere thank you to all of you. I know we are all thinking of the victims' families who are grieving at this difficult time. With honour, they served.
Thank you, Commissioner. Look, I can only reiterate the words of what the Commissioner has said. Sadly, Matthew and Rachel, they pay the ultimate sacrifice by simply doing their job. They were both amazing people who were well respected and by their colleagues and those who were close to them. I spoke with Matthew's father last night. It's hard to know what to say. He was devastated and still processing what was occurring, and our thoughts go out to Matthew's parents and Rachel's family as well. I know around Queensland flowers have been delivered to many police stations, and the public support that is continuing to flow in really makes a difference for hard-working men and women of police, not only in Queensland but right across Australia. That support means so much to us, and we will continue to do our job, and we'll be responding to calls for service today and tomorrow and continue to look after the community because that is our DNA. The Queensland Police Union has set up a remembrance fund for Matthew and Rachel, which is on our Facebook site and will be on our website shortly. Many members of the community have wanted to know if they can donate to assist their families. We've established that, and every cent will go to the families of Rachel and Matthew. One thing as a union we will do is not only look after our own and the entire Blue family, but we will continue to do our job. But what we do as well, we will ensure that the memories are never forgotten. They will be honoured. No police officer ever wants to go on the memorial wall. But sadly, Matthew and Rachel, their memory will be honoured, and on our police remembrance wall in the Botanical Gardens in Brisbane, their names will be added, as it will be at our national capital in Canberra, so they will never be forgotten. We will remember the courage and their diligence and their sense of community they displayed, and they put their lives on the line. As we move forward, we're coming into the festive season. Not that any time is good, but as we come into the festive season, it's even worse because families come together. And I can only think for Matthew and Rachel's families and close colleagues, the hurt and the pain they are going to go through as we lead into Christmas, which is only 12 days away. What we need to do as police is come together, but with the support of the community, we will get through it. One thing which is really important, the ripple effect not only in Queensland but across Australia and New Zealand. This brings back memories to those who've lost loved ones in the past. And I only this morning got a message from a widow who lost her husband over 30 years ago. And can I say, it is just as raw over 30 years ago as to what it is today. So it's important we reach out to all those police families, whether it's 10, 20, 30 or 50 years ago. The pain never leaves and it hurts them each and every day. But at times like this, it hurts even more. So thank you everyone for your support. We're going to continue. We will work with the police service to provide all the support we possibly can for Matthew and Rachel, their family and their colleagues at this very difficult time. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ian. As I said last night, our hearts break again. And with the loss of life of these two brave officers, their innocence stolen by evil, a little bit of extra innocence slips away from our community. I don't think there's a single Queenslander today whose heart isn't broken. It is so sad, it is so devastating. And of course, our thoughts are with the family and friends and colleagues of those two very brave officers. We also extend our condolences to the family of the innocent local resident who was also murdered by these evil people, these truly evil people. There was a lot of bravery shown yesterday, a lot of bravery by many officers of the Queensland Police Service. The Commissioner and I have heard stories about just extraordinary human effort to be courageous, to support each other, to do whatever it took to keep the community safe and to protect each other. I wanted to particularly highlight those efforts. Those officers serve the community because of us, because they want to keep us safe. And when they are under attack, our community is under attack. It is sad, it is devastating. Our thoughts are with the family, friends, colleagues of those officers who have lost their lives, with the whole police family. And we make this commitment. Those officers will never, ever be forgotten, ever. Their sacrifice will always be remembered. With honour they served.
Any questions?
Commissioner, can we ask you what led up to this event? What led to police going to that dress in the first place yesterday?
And that's where we'll leave viewers on.
So we're continuing to follow these developments for you right now. Just on what we're seeing right now, you're seeing the police commissioner there speak. We've been bringing you that feed for you right now. So let's just try to have a listen in, because I think they're going to answer questions now. So, yep, let's have a listen in.
Not stand a chance. The fact that 2 got out alive is a miracle.
Was there any indication they were armed on the premises at the time before police went to
Look,
that address?
we're going through that, but certainly all police do risk assessments, and those risk assessments are quite thorough, and we will look at that in our investigation, but certainly those risk assessments are done before we attend any jobs.
Commissioner, can you rule out whether one of the offenders called the police to come to that property?
No, we can't rule anything out at the moment. There will be a thorough investigation. I will now go to where the incident centre is set up to get a full brief from investigators. But certainly I expect the processing of the scene, the investigation, will take days, if not weeks.
What can you tell us about that missing person?
The missing person? We, as I said, got a request from New South Wales that a person had been missing for a considerable period of time. And then that request was given to the local police to go to this address to check on that missing person. I understand from my brief that that person had been missing for up to about 12 months, but people had been in contact with him. However, that contact was lost in recent days, and they just wanted to check on that missing person.
Without preempting the coronial inquiry and that critical incident investigation, there have been reports of the brutality involved in these murders. In the first instance, of the officers having their guns taken from them beyond the initial hail of gunfire. That even after they had died, the shooting continued. Are those reports accurate?
Look, I cannot go into any detail because there will be a coronial inquest. Not only that, there is an investigation and there is processing of the scene. And as I said before, the scene is quite unimaginable. It's distressing. And in my view, those officers did not stand a chance. And I don't know how 2 got out alive. There's considerable, and I think you would all know this from just the messaging that's going out, but there's considerable weaponry involved in what took place yesterday.
Were they lured there? Were police lured to that address with that murderous intent in mind?
We don't know any of that yet. There will be a thorough investigation. I will come back to you, obviously, with more information as we get that. But please be mindful. I am in a situation where we do have an investigation and also a cranial inquiry down the track, and I'll be very mindful as to what I say.
Two surviving officers of female first-year constable, can you talk to their bravery?
The bravery of those officers is just unbelievable. To think they survived the scene, let alone then got out to make phone calls and call for assistance, was just extraordinary. I will shortly meet with Keely, and I know that she's talked people already through what took place, and the people that I have spoken to cannot believe how she survived and what she did during that period of time.
Has Keely been to hospital then?
She has at the moment, and I will take up with her very shortly.
Can you tell us what happened when the specialist officers arrived with their special weapons and technical expertise? Did that shootout happen at the same location, or did it happen elsewhere?
I'm not going to go into too much detail because obviously there are operational sensitivities. However, we do call CERT in for a reason. We call CERT where there's heavy fire, where there's a lot of ammunition, a lot of weaponry, and they were called in for a certain reason, and I take my hat off to them. They did a tremendous job. That's what they're there to do. They're specialist officers. I would say for them, just as it is for everyone else, what they had to do, the scene they were in, extraordinarily difficult and extraordinarily distressing.
I understand before CERT arrived, there were 16 general duties officers who risked their life to go in and get their fallen colleagues out of there.
Yes, there was. There were 16 officers that went in to retrieve the body of their fallen colleagues. That too was bravery beyond belief. And I know that was also incredibly difficult and incredibly challenging and complex. I take my hat off to them. In essence, when you're in a situation like this, you sometimes have to wait for those specialist officers, and decisions need to be made very, very quickly. And those decisions were made, and they too, when I think about what they did and how they did it, because I've been briefed on that as well, was extraordinarily brave. And I take.
They didn't know if they were dead or alive. The officers in there were dead or alive. They had to get in there.
They had to get in there. I mean, that's the first thing you think about is I need to get in to make an assessment. How are my officers? Are they still alive? What backup do we need? You have to get in there, and they did that extraordinarily well, knowing that they were going to be under fire. But as I said, extraordinarily brave, and I thank them for that.
Did officers know what happened with them? Did officers know that the member of the public was nearby or at the time? Or?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that. As you could appreciate, so as things unravel that quickly in what is one of the most complex and horrendous environments you can be in, it was going to take us a number of days, if not weeks, to unravel every single aspect of the scene, but every single second of what took place.
Can you speak about what that neighbour did?
From what I understand, the neighbour was just going to see what was occurring, and I'm not sure whether it was because of the fire or whether it was because of, hearing weapons being shot. But that neighbour, like my officers, didn't stand a chance either.
There are reports of camouflage gear and military-grade weapons being involved. Can you confirm any of that?
Look, I won't go into that. I know there was many weapons and we need to work through that. But these are officers who every day go about their business in their small town to keep their communities safe. What I saw walking, I walked the scene up to the house. They just could not stand a chance in that environment.
What can we learn from this so it never happens again?
I think there's always learnings. We will go back, revisit every aspect of this, revisit every aspect of, what we know about these people, how we responded, were they known to us? I mean, that really is the start of the investigation. But what happens in incidents like this, is you do just that. You debrief, you see, how we responded. But I've got to say, from what I've seen, they didn't stand a chance. But the response after that was just excellent.
Commissioner, when you walked the scene, can you describe what you felt?
Look, I won't go into too much of that other than to say that when you are in that scene walking towards the house and where this apparently took place, they were in an exposed area where I would go back to say that I cannot believe that 2 officers got out alive.
Have the offenders looked?
Is that accurate to say that the wife of this missing person reported him missing? And did police have any reason to think any criminal activity was linked to this missing person?
Look, I won't go into any further details. I've just got to be mindful until I get the full brief of where the investigation's at, and I will get that very, very shortly. So we'll come out with what else we know. However, we, as I said, did go there as a result of a reported missing person. And as I said, police always do thorough checks before they go into these environments.
Can you say whether there were warrants for him?
I won't confirm that at this stage. Just need to get a little bit more information.
3 people who were shot by police, are they all considered offenders, or is there any innocent party within that group?
They're all considered offenders.
Had they lived there for some time, or they?
No, I'm just getting that information.
Are they related to the missing person?
I don't know that at this stage. We're just getting all of that information, and I know there's some information out there. I just have to be really mindful as to what I say before I go public with that information. Can I sincerely thank you all for being here, and I thank the community, but above all I thank all Queensland police officers who day in, day out serve their community in what is a very, very difficult environment. To all of the officers that are involved in this, my heart goes out to, but particularly to Matt, to Rachel and family. I'm so sorry for what has happened here. If we could have prevented it, done more, I'm sure every officer here would have done that. Our condolences, our sympathies, and I know all Queenslanders are thinking about you as well. Thank you.
So there we go. That was just a lengthy press conference there from Queensland Police addressing, of course, what has happened here. We're continuing to have our team following this for you right now. Our Law and Government editor, Stuart Jeffrey, our national reporter, Austin Pollock, and our political editor, Roman McKinnon. We've all been covering this for you as this happens. Austin, first to you, some pretty extraordinary comments made there, that it was an exposed area, that it was, that the officers didn't stand the chance, and it was amazing 2 made it out alive. I mean, I'm going to say it again, extraordinary. And the ones from Tara are the ones who are killed, is what we understand. considerable weaponry. That's an extraordinary line there. We heard those initial reports, as stressed, unconfirmed, about something like a semi-automatic weapon or something that at least sounds like it. But it just, as we discussed last night, sounding more and more like an ambush. Yeah, and look, we're still waiting for excuse me, we're still waiting for Annastacia palaszczuk. Eventually, I mean, it's inevitable. She's going to speak. I think it's that's the consensus here. I can't see why she wouldn't be speaking. But it's kind of a waiting game here. It's just a waiting game we're playing right now, and we're going to bring in a second political editor, Roman McKinnon, who's still on the ground in Brisbane. But Austin, just again from what the tone of that press conference, I mean, you just you see the police commissioner there, and she's devastated. She's just so devastated, and she was last night, but even more so this morning, I'd say. Yeah, and just so unheard of almost regarding what's happened here. Again, the amount of times we cover a shooting here in Australia, I mean, we don't. That's the thing here. We don't cover that regularly, and that's why this is getting so much attention. Although some can argue it should have had more attention here, simply because of being a remote area. It is hard to actually get details from areas like that, let alone accurate details, and that's the more important thing here, because there's been so much speculation from the area right now. But yeah, Austin, you've been doing a great job. I'm sure we'll come back to you a little later, but for now though, Austin Pollock, our national reporter, thank you. All right, well, we hope to now bring in Roman McKinnon. He is our political editor. Roman, let's hope this one goes as well as the last one did in terms of technical issues. There we go. Roman, I'm not sure how much of that press you copped, but the basics of it, of course, being that, the commissioner is just surprised that two made it out alive. I mean, what does that tell you about the kind of situation they saw there? It's horrific.
At the Chinchilla police station there. Obviously, as Austin just mentioned, she was very, very devastated about what happened. I just got a text from someone saying that the Australian flag will be lowered at half-mast in Canberra. That was from the PMO's office there. So, so obviously an ongoing situation, and obviously more tributes will come in, especially with Premier Annastacia palaszczuk expected to speak in the next couple of minutes or so. A lot more tributes coming in here at Police HQ in Brisbane and across the state and across the country. Yeah, we understand now she's about to speak. By the way, we're hearing from our fantastic viewers and listeners at home that there may have been a few issues in terms of hearing Austin during that last cross, in that you weren't hearing Austin, so I do apologise for that. But from what I understand, we can hear Roman, and we should be hearing, on a more serious note, we should be hearing the Queensland Premier within a matter of seconds. We're going to bring that to you right now here on 6 News in a matter of seconds. Annastacia palaszczuk speaking about what has happened here, and of course, going to provide what she knows about this, as I'm sure she's been briefed. It looks like she is not in Chinchilla. She's at that normal kind of briefing room that
that she has. So that's contrary to what we might have initially thought. But yeah, here we go. This is Anastacia palaszczuk. She is speaking now.
Horrific incident, and our hearts just break for these two young, beautiful young officers who are just doing their job, going about their job. I'm happy to take any questions in relation to this matter. Yes, we'll try to organise that as soon as we can over the next couple of days. And of course you can appreciate the families being spoken to by the Commissioner and the Police Union, and our hearts go to those families at the moment.
Have you been advised of the circumstances of the missing person and the persons involved or not?
Just brief background, but we do know that there will be a thorough investigation, ethical standards and homicide investigation in relation to these matters as well. Just something that no one wants to wake up to or hear about. You know, these are things that we often hear about happening in other countries, but happening here with such a routine matter. These young constables were just going about their normal job. It was just a routine matter, and to be confronted with this is beyond imagination.
Do we know what warning New South Wales Police gave to Queensland? Did Queensland Police know they were in danger?
My understanding, I'm informed that it was purely an operational, a routine operational matter. Yeah.
Is the missing person thought to be one of the shooters?
I'll let police comment more on that, but we'll leave the police to matter on the investigation. But look, our hearts just go out to the two young constables who lost their lives in such tragic. It just, words cannot describe. When I was hearing about this and speaking to people involved, I just couldn't believe this was happening in our community. Okay. All right. We just might bring the Commissioner in. Thank you. Okay, we'll be moving now on to the DNA Commission of Inquiry report handover. Thank you, Commissioner. You got something there for me?
I have the pleasure of handing my report to you on time and below budget.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'll just make a few comments, then I'll hand over to the Commissioner. Can I first start by thanking Walter Sofronoff for his diligence and hard working in overseeing the Commission of Inquiry into Forensic DNA and for his report. I also want to thank the Council assisting and all the Commission of Inquiry staff involved for their time and effort. And I would also especially like to recognise the many people who provided information to the inquiry on these important matters.
Queensland Premier now.
A detailed report and detailed recommendations. And can I say from the outset, the government is absolutely committed to reform.
Queensland now, Premier now speaking about something else regarding DNA testing. We're going to stay with our press conference for you.
For the victims. That is why we established this Commission of Inquiry. Now, the report has just been handed to us. I wanted to release the report on the same day so you can hear directly from the Commissioner. Over the next 48 hours, both myself, the Health Minister, the Attorney, will be examining this report, and we will be able to then respond to this report to you in 48 hours. I thought it was very important today that you hear directly from the Commissioner, Walter Sofronoff. So I'll hand over to the Commissioner, and I'll just leave that there. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Everything I have to say, of course, I say in the report, so I have nothing to add. But in terms of a summary, we found some very, very disturbing and troubling things that were happening in the DNA laboratory. That's the bad news. The good news is that the scientists at the laboratory are people of very high talent, skill, and great devotion and dedication to their work. And they are people whom I was proud to meet. The other thing is that we have to change a great deal that's happening in the laboratory, but the department.
We're going to leave that there. That's on another matter regarding DNA lab, the forensic DNA lab there that we've been discussing. And look, we've covered that previously, but we're just going to stick with the ongoing situation regarding what has happened with this shooting, of course, which is obviously the main thing that that we're following here for you. Sorry, it looks like got stuck there. So yeah, we're gonna just bring you those developments. Let's bring in once again political editor Roman McKinnon, who is on the ground in Brisbane right now for us. Roman, I mean, we only saw the tail end of it there, but still pretty short comments from the Premier there. You know, moving on to the other thing, which is still a huge issue, the forensic DNA lab. But still, on a day where 6 people are dead, including 2 police officers, I would have expected she might have said a bit more. But then again, of course, only caught the tail end of it.
Most definitely, I thought she would have said much more, actually, including like a lengthy half an hour the press conference about that. She obviously didn't, then moving swiftly on to that other issue. But as you mentioned, we did see the tail end. I think, I'm not sure what we might see from other leaders, including press conferences. I think a press conference from Prime Minister Anthony Albanese will be imminent in the next day or two, or even today even. About that, maybe Opposition Leader Peter Dutton has released a short statement. Obviously, as you mentioned, him being a former cop in Queensland, I reckon he will have also a press conference about this, pretty much on the same topics.
Mm-hmm.
Condolences, this is terrible, kind of along the lines of that. But yeah, obviously a very tragic day, and kind of expected more from Annastacia Palaszczuk there.
Yep. Lots going on right now. We'll leave it there for everyone. Thank you very much to you, Roman McKinnon, our political editor, who has been covering this extraordinary story for a while now. So thank you very much to you there. Thank you very much, Austin Pollock, our national reporter as well, and also law and government editor, host of Between Parks Place and Capitol Hill, Stuart Jeffrey. You've been watching 6 News. Stay with us for more coverage throughout the morning and the rest of the day, in the evening, and of course late night and overnight, as we learn more about this police, the death of these 2 officers. Again, 6 people dead, 1 local resident, 2 police officers, and 3 suspected shooters. There are no offenders alive, according to police. It is essentially, from what we understand, an ambush. The police commissioner saying they had no chance, and she's amazed the 2 police officers, in addition to those 2 who died, 2 made it out alive. So continuing to follow those developments for you. You've been watching 6 News again. Stay with us. Head to our website, SIXNewsAU.com, or follow us on social media at 6NewsAU. Just search that to find us. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay with us for more news coverage right after this. If you are elected as Prime Minister, can you promise to own up to mistakes and factual inaccuracies if you make them? And would you be willing to come back on 6 News?
I certainly would. That would be a pleasure. And I think we've seen during the campaign, I made a mistake. I fessed up to it, said it was a mistake, didn't try to blame someone else. I think that's really important. With the high office of Prime Minister comes responsibility. And one of my concerns is that this Prime Minister never accepts responsibility, always seeks to blame someone else. And we can do much better than that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Opposition Leader Anthony Albanese, thanks so much for your time and for joining us here on 6 News.
Oh, thanks for having me on the program on 6 News, and I wish you all the best. And I commit to coming back on at semi-regular intervals. It I think is a fantastic initiative, and thanks for spending the time with me today.